And there we have it. Just testing things out here, trying a little bit of a new thing here. Got the stuff plugged up, and we're ready to roll post UFC 317. And we're ready to get going, boys. All right. So, what do we want to talk about now? We'll see if anybody jumps in the chat. Otherwise, we'll just keep it moving right along with what I want to talk about, what I have weighing on my heart today. And a lot of it has to do with this picture right here in front of you. I mean, my goodness, the most exciting time possibly ever in terms of all the champions combined here. Pantoja, Marab, Volk, Ilia, Jack Della Maddalena, who's up one more weight class, Drickus. There's one man that stands aside that is out of bounds here. All right, that is Ankalaev. That guy, listen, great fighter. Got to give him all his due respect. I can do that. I can be an honest broker here, but the guy is boring as shit to watch. Tom Aspinall, though, on the other hand, very exciting. Finishes the fights typically in the first round. Of course, he went to that second round fight with Arlovsky back in the day, but got that submission real quick. But right here, again, some of the best fighters of all time. Now, seriously, of all time are on this image right here on this list of champions that we have now today in 2025. We thought that it was going to be a joke. We thought that we were going to have the Bilal Muhammads. We thought that we were going to have the Ankalaevs. It was a meme back in the day about a year ago that it was going to be Marab, Bilal, and Ankalaev, all three super boring champions. However, I have to disagree with you. Marab is developing into one of the more entertaining fighters that you have a chance to see today in the UFC. His style, he might not be the best striker, might not be the best grappler, might not have any really dangerous finishing ability. He did get that submission, though, against Sean O'Malley back at UFC 316. But the thing is, this guy's style is just fun to watch. I think if you're a fan of the sport, the way that he doesn't really have super high level skills in any area, but his cardio is just off the charts. Of course, there's always that rumor of is he on the juice? Maybe, maybe not, but we'll see. He seems to have really turned a corner after that Ricky Simone loss. I mean, what can you say about that? It's a little bit tough, let's be honest, but I don't know, did the guy just start going to work? Does he have a work ethic unlike any others? That's what they claim, but yet this guy shows up late to the gym. He's eating shit out of camp. He's injuring himself. He's doing all kinds of crazy mess, and yet somehow, some way, this guy is managing to get around and do things like a champion that we've never seen before. The way he's running through these guys, quite literally running through these guys, putting on a pace like no other. I mean, Volkanovski also there up one division. Will Marab ever move up? I highly doubt it. He's got his buddy Aljamain up at 145 as well. Ilia Topuria likely will never come back down to 145. This is the kind of guy who's on a trajectory unlike any other. That's Ilia Topuria. The guy's running up through these weight divisions and killing everybody who stands in his way. And he is now the number one pound for pound fighter in mixed martial arts. And there's really no other doubt about it. There is Islam Makhachev, of course. The guy's not a champion right now, so maybe that's why they made the decision to ultimately boost him into that number one position. Islam, though, will potentially gain that welterweight strap and become a two-division champion as well. Ilia Topuria, though, not officially the 145 champion anymore, but he wants to herald himself that. He also wants to herald himself the BMF champion as well, which, you know what? All credit to him. The dude is an absolute fucking killer. Absolutely dangerous striker in there. Hitting Charles Oliveira with that 2-3 combination. Beautifully set the man down, put him away, and now holds technically two belts, but just one belt. That is the 155 strap. One of the toughest divisions, one of the best divisions. And I was listening to a couple of people, and I'd heard this more than once over the last couple of days. MMA Guru was the one that championed this one, but the guys that come up in the 155-pound divisions that end up taking over the division are typically former 145-pounders. Now let that settle in. Charles Oliveira, think of these legends. Think of these legends. Max Holloway now moving up. Ilia Topuria now moving up. Dustin Poirier moving up. Renato Moicano used to be a 45er. These guys are moving up and running through multiple fighters in the division. They had not a lot of success at 145. They decided to take the step up. Think about all the welterweight contenders over the last 5 years. A couple come to mind that have been moving up. That would be Jorge Masvidal, Gilbert Burns, just to name a few, two former title challengers. I mean, come on now. But at the end of the day, what does that mean? Lower weight classes have the better skill. We've heard this been talked about all over MMA YouTube. Lucas Tracy, lighter man's skill. I hear him saying that all the time. And you know what? You cannot really start to disagree with that when you see what these guys are doing, right? Look at what Alex Pereira did moving up to 205, ran straight through that division because you got quick hands. I mean, what more can you really say about the guy? Dricus du Plessis, former 170-pound fighter on the regional scene, and now he's fighting at 185, blitzing through everybody, soon to be potentially the middleweight greatest of all time. Pretty damn impressive, if I do say so myself. And then, of course, there's Tom Aspinall, who is a real legitimate heavyweight contender. This guy is a real legitimate heavyweight fighter. This is a real legitimate heavyweight athlete. This is a real legitimate 260-pound dude in there that's got thunder thighs and big-ass fucking firearms in his punches. There's really nothing more you can say about that guy. He is a legitimate heavyweight athlete, an athletic freak, somebody that we have not seen the likes of in many, many years. This guy is like a new and improved version of the Fedor Emelianenko's, right? That guy was an absolute stud, okay? The dude was athletic. Heavyweights used to be more athletic. Pound, well, what? Not quite the right word I would use, but not pound for pound, but man for man, the heavyweight division 10, 15, 20 years ago, much better than they are now. You look at the heavyweight rankings. We'll skip over to the UFC ranking system here. We'll zoom out and scroll over down to the heavyweight division. I mean, look at these guys now. Look at how many of these guys are just fat blobs, good fighters, skilled technicians, good at fighting. You know what? They beat me up in a fight. You got to be honest. I'm not some big talking head here who's got some great ego like, you know what, I'm going to step right in there and beat up some fucking heavyweights. No. But Rizvan Kunaev showed that he didn't quite have it against Curtis Blades. It was a debut fight in the organization after fighting over in the PFL, losing a couple of fights over there. Who did he lose to? Henan Ferreira, who just lost to Francis Ngannou not too long ago. Martin Buday. Are you fucking kidding me? Martin Buday is a ranked heavyweight in 2025? Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Taliesin Teixeira, okay, interesting prospect. He's a little bit taller, a little bit long and lanky frame for the heavyweight division. Maybe he can do something interesting against Derek Lewis next week at UFC Nashville. We can get into that if we do so wish. Mick Parkin, he's not the heaviest guy. He's kind of just a flabby dude. He's got decent punches, decent striking. Shamil Gaziev, come on. He's the blob for a reason, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, okay? He hasn't even gotten to the belt yet, but he's already been determined as the greatest fighter of all time. I mean, don't even get me started on Tai Tuivasa. Have we seen this man in the last few months? I mean, Tai Tuivasa has been getting a little bit, how do I say this nicely, large. We'll even type this in here to Google and see what images pop up. Tai Tuivasa fat. I mean, the dude is a heavyweight. He's a big, chunky boy. Let's be honest. The guy's always going to be on the bigger side. Come on, brother. Put down the drinks, put down the food, get in the gym. This guy's going to be weighing 500 pounds before too long. Regardless, again, Rizvan Kunaev, Martin Buday, maybe Teixeira will become something interesting. Parkin, he's got the athleticism that he might be able to put some pop on some dudes, but he's not the skinniest fella. He's not the most athletic fella. He's just a decent fighter and a skilled technician. We can put it that way. Shamil Gaziev, though, come on. He's the blob. Tai Tuivasa, humongous dude. Derek Lewis, he's got massive power in his hands, so he can kind of get away with being a little bit out of shape, okay? Now, again, most of these guys have the cardio to go a 5-minute round, but do they have the cardio to go a full 3-round fight? That's why we have seen such boring heavyweight fights over the past couple of months. Somebody like Waldo Cortez Acosta sticks out to me, number 6 in the rankings, though. I had no hopes for this guy. I was so down on this guy over the last few years. He came off the Contender Series. He swings his arms like a freaking baseball pitcher because guess what he used to do? He used to be a pitcher. And the problem is with this is when I first saw him, I said, this guy doesn't even have any skills. He's got heavy hands and he throws huge overhands and doesn't really do anything else. Well, guess what? You know what? And I've been saying this for months and months and months, and this is the only thing that I can really hit home here on my channel because nobody fucking watches this shit. All right. This is just for fun here. This guy, I thought, was going to amount to nothing. I thought he was going to hit up in the rankings, take on a Martin Budai or a Mick Parkin, who's a more well-rounded, longer trained, longer in the tooth in the mixed martial arts. They've been doing jiu-jitsu, wrestling, or whatever for a couple of years. I thought those guys would be able to beat this guy. But guess what? Activity and working hard and trying to make a second career for yourself when you've been struggling, Waldo Cortez Acosta has developed into kind of an exciting fighter to watch. He's throwing hands with the best of them. And guess what? You know why he's doing that? Because he's staying active. When was the last time Martin Budai even fucking fought? Don't know. I could look it up for you right now, but I don't really fucking care. Okay. It's just disgraceful. Okay. This is embarrassing what the UFC has become. Legends back in the day. I mean, come on. You look up simply. Let's say I'm a casual here. Let's say I just started watching this after 2022, 2023, and I'm a TikTok edits monster. I mean, Pride, right? I've heard of Pride. What is Pride, you might ask, to a casual fan? Pride FC heavyweight fighter. Just look that up and tell me that these guys don't look 10 times better athletes than we have today. We'll even go to Wikipedia. We'll put everything against us and we'll still come out of here with better looking fighters than you see at heavyweight today. Who's this Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira guy? Who's this guy? Oh, wow. That looks like a real fucking athlete. And you're telling me this guy used to fight at heavyweight? Okay, let's look him up. Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira. I don't know the sport. I'm a casual, let's say. Well, this guy used to fight at heavyweight? Oh my goodness. Are those pectoral muscles and visible biceps and abdominal muscles? And this guy moves and gets submissions? Oh, come on. 239 pounds, 6'3". That guy's huge, right? I'm a casual of the sport. I don't watch the sport. Who else? Who was on there? Fedor Emelianenko. Who's that guy? Who's this guy? You might be asking. Casual fans of the sport. Okay. All right, he looks a little bit pudgy. Fedor Emelianenko highlights. Let's see what he looks like in the ring. Oh, is that somebody finished? Oh, is this him jumping into somebody's guard with a punch? Oh my goodness. Whoa, he's knocked someone out. He's put somebody on the floor. I mean, this was Fedor in his older days against Rampage. Who was that? Who else did he fucking fight? Timothy Johnson over in the PFL. I mean, Ryan Bader. Yeah, but he's a light heavyweight. That doesn't count. Anyway, if you know what I'm talking about, you get exactly what I'm saying. You look back at the heavyweight division today. And again, Curtis Blades, good athlete, longer. Cyril Gahn, good athlete. Alexander Volkov, good athlete. Pavlovich, decent athlete. Jailton Almeida, arguably a light heavyweight. Moving on up, right? But you get down here and you start looking at the Tyboras. You start looking at the Spivaks. And again, Waldo, I was very, very disappointed in coming off the Contender Series. I said to myself, and I say this a lot, if you get a knockout on the Contender Series and make short work of things at heavyweight, do you even deserve a contract? I need to see that you have real skills in there. That's my opinion. But you know what? I'll eat some humble pie. I was wrong. This dude is thriving on activity. You know why Alex Pereira is the biggest star in the UFC? Activity. Fought constantly over the past couple of years. You know why Joshua Van just earned himself a title shot? Activity. He lost to Charles Johnson. Okay? Charles Johnson, you might be wondering, who is that guy? Where's he ranked at? Josh Van's the #1 contender now. He's the second best flyweight in the world. Who is Charles Johnson, you might ask? I don't even see him in the rankings. And Josh Van lost to him just a year ago. No, there's no way that he lost to an unranked fighter. I mean, Charles Johnson, let's be honest, shout out Charles Johnson, one of the most underrated fighters out there in all of MMA, potentially, in terms of what the rankings have to say. Come on. The dude rocks the skullet. He's 34 years old. I mean, 5'7". 5'7". I don't know about that anyway. Let's check out this guy's record. Who has this guy fought? Oh. Oh, wow. He took a couple losses in a row. Okay, fair enough. Get this fucking ad out of here. What are you doing? Let's take a look at his UFC run. Now, of course, took out some legitimate guys back in LFA in the day. Lost to Brandon Royval. Look at that. Yuma Horiguchi. I know him. Carlos Mota. I know him. Got the win. LFA 122. This was his last fight before jumping into the UFC. 34 years old. So let's rewind the clock 3 years. 31 years old, 30 years old at that time. Comes in, takes on Muhammad Mokaev. Am I mistaken? Was that short notice? I don't quite remember, to be honest. If somebody's out there in the chat and knows better, let me know. Zhlaga Shamagulov, the dude with the hair, legend, just got picked up a win at Octagon.
Prime Day is coming July 8th to the 11th with great deals on whatever you're getting into.
We don't need to hear this, brother. This guy, 36 years old, right? 125 flyweight, fun fighter, exciting fighter. They cut him. Now, were all his fights super exciting? No, but he's got a fun style. Anyway, defeated that guy, split decision. Jimmy Flick, dangerous guy, not the best guy at 125, not even a ranked really opponent, but he went on a decent run. Jimmy Flick did a couple of years ago. And Charles Johnson beat both those guys back to back to start his UFC run after losing to Muhammad Mokaev, who's a tough out for anybody who should probably be ranked in the UFC's top 5 of the flyweight division right now. That's a whole other conversation. Now, Ode Osborne, dangerous fighter, kind of a first-round flashy finisher. That was always going to be a close one between the two long, lanky guys. It is what it is. Cody Durden, kind of a tough out. Dude's an absolute dog. Charles Johnson was kind of just growing into his UFC career at that point. But guess what? This guy is staying active. Just like, guess who? Joshua Van. Guess what? If you see Charles Johnson jump into the rankings and get a title shot in 2026, don't be surprised. Come back to this. I'm not saying he will. I don't think he's the best fighter ever, but this guy definitely deserves to be ranked at flyweight in the UFC division with the wins that he has on his record. And Rafael Estevam. Rafael Estevam is nobody to sneeze at either, but the guy hasn't really done much since then. Okay, so get past that. Azat Maxim, you might be asking, who's this guy? Oh, I just saw him fight last week, and it was a close fight, a fun fight against Tagir Ulanbekov, who's legit, trains in Habib's camp. Took the loss there. Got wins over Tyson Nam. Okay, dude's legit. Not the best in the world, but he's there to get some decent wins to put up some decent competition against a long, lanky guy like Charles Johnson. It's not just going to run through Azat Maxim. Well, got the win there. Jay Cadley, current contender in the PFL's bantamweight division. Oh, Jake Hadley, who's this guy, right? What's he got on his record? Malcolm Gordon, that's a good win. Callan Loughran, that's a decent win. Got a couple losses there to Cameron Smotherman. Mateos Matos in the PFL. That was a fun fight as long as it lasted, let's be honest. It wasn't too much of a competition, but the guy's pretty decent. Mitch Raposo, he's beaten the bums of the flyweight division, okay? So, again, Joshua Van staying active. Charles Johnson staying active despite some of these losses. Now, he hasn't fought since March 1st of 2025. I'm not sure if he has a fight scheduled yet or not, but the guy is obviously getting older. He's on the downturn of his career. He knows that he has to stay active to get back in there. So he suffered a 3-fight losing streak and then rattled off 4 wins. Joshua Van and Sue Madarji are good fighters, good, solid fighters. He finished Joshua Van July 13th, less than a year ago, just barely less than a year ago now, finished Joshua Van, the now number 1 contender at flyweight. What does that tell you about flyweight? It's stacked top to bottom. It's competitive top to bottom. Outside the rankings, there are some killers out there, okay? I don't see Azat Maxim ranked in there, but he gave a good fight to the number 12th ranked Tagir Ulanbekov, right? Ramzan Temirov's good. Bruno Silva, Joshua Van just beat Bruno Silva a couple weeks ago. I mean, come on now. What are we saying here? What are we doing here with the flyweight division? At the end of the day, what does this mean? If you stay active, you get in there, you fight, you take fights on short notice, you surprise better fighters than yourself. I think Brandon Royval, technically speaking, well-rounded in terms of his well-rounded technical ability all over the place, is better than Josh Van. But Josh Van has crisp, clean boxing, and Brandon Royval decided to go, you know what? Let's just stand, bang, and brawl. That's what Brandon Royval decided to do, and he paid the price. Now, did he earn a lot of fans and a lot of respect from that one? Hell fucking yeah. That was one of the best fights that I have ever seen. I mean, that was one of the best fights in the last couple of years. Well, I don't know. It's hard to say. You know, Estevan Ribovic, that fight at Noche last year, that was pretty damn good. Earlier this year, Randy Brown and what's his fucking face? Nicholas Dalby put on a fucking heater. That was a bit of a back and forth one. Quick one, finished quickly. That was great. What was last week? Nazim Sadikov versus Nicholas Mota. That one was fucking good. Finished with Nazim Sadikov getting the knockout. I mean, come on now. We've had some great fights, but that one, in terms of a 3-round wall-to-wall, end-to-end, pillar-to-post, court-side to court-side kind of fight, that was fucking awesome. That was a fucking that was the definition of barn burner. When you can see and feel the sweat and the heat from those dudes swinging back and forth, radiating through the octagon, when the screen starts to turn brown with the fog, with the mist coming off these guys, with the blood soaking the canvas coming off of these guys, the cameramen standing on the couple of posts that the UFC has around the octagon. When you see that getting fogged up, when you see the screen turning brown, kind of a tinted brown look to it, that's how you know that you are watching an all-time classic, an all-time barn burner. The one that comes to mind when I think of all that blood being sprayed around, all that sweat up in the air, creating this kind of misty, brownish aura looking to the camera. You go back and watch the pay-per-view, I tell you, it looked kind of brown in there. Noche fight, the Ribovic fight, that was one of them that kind of had that aura to it. It was just something that you were watching through the screen. You can visually see it. It's not just, can I see two dudes slinging back and forth, but literally something is pushing through the screen. Something is radiating through the screen, and that's the blood and the sweat literally in the air that the camera has around it, that might be on the lens of the camera that you can see. That's what makes a barn burner fight. That's how you know you are in an absolute fucking war. So, just went on a bit of a rant there, bit of a tangent. Let me collect myself. Again, activity. Joshua Van is now the contender, will be getting a shot against Alessandro Pantoja, one of the best fighters, one of the most disrespected fighters in his own right. Flyweight, of course, has been disrespected like crazy for years. This guy has now moved up to what? Jumped up 4 spots in the pound-for-pound rankings. Number 5. And I think he should be over Dricus du Plessis. And Dricus du Plessis is on a generational run. A generational run. Could be going for GOAT status at middleweight. You never know. That's what's up for debate here. But Alessandro Pantoja, whatever. 5th. If you want to put him there, that's fine. Alexander Volkanovski, obviously coming off of those couple of losses, regained the title. I don't think you should put him over Pantoja. Magomed Ankalaev just got his belt. Jack Della Maddalena just got his belt. I think Tom Aspinall should be above Magomed and Jack, if you ask me. And maybe even Volk, because he does have a defense on his record. Obviously won the belt and then defended it against Curtis Blades. Okay, Curtis Blades, one of the better fighters at heavyweight, one of the less, sloppy fat heavyweights. That's Curtis Blades, legit fighter. That's a legit defense. That's somebody that even John Jones was calling for a couple of months ago when he was on his, what was the press tour before UFC? What the fuck was that? What number was it? Anyway, when he was fighting Stipe, all right. Just before that one, he was saying, you know what, give me Curtis Blades, give me Alex Pereira. Derek Lewis. I mean, that's what John Jones was saying. It was just absolutely foolish. And I think Tom Aspinall could easily jump over Magomed and Jack and Volk, but I won't disagree with this too much. I think it's fine for what it is. The rankings of the UFC have always been pretty rough, if you ask me. Always been a little bit out of touch. But Ilia Topuria, I'm surprised they threw him in number one. Probably, like I said before, because he does because Islam Makhachev does not have a belt. Merab Dvalishvili, smaller weight class, not as exciting. They want to have Ilia Topuria as the number one pound for pound guy. Let's be honest. Come on. We know what's going on here. They're trying to make stars. And I've seen some guys on Twitter, they're like, Ilia Topuria, not really a star, not exactly pushing these numbers. MMA Joey, I mean, whatever. I don't look at a lot of this guy's content, but he just keeps popping up. He just keeps popping up everywhere. Shout out to the guy on the grind. He's got like 30,000 subscribers or whatever. But I mean, it's just it's so disparaging towards Topuria, and I don't understand the media push to anoint Topuria as some mega global superstar based on social media following. I mean, we want to go over to Instagram. Let's go ahead. I think we can see their view count, right? UFC. Let's take a look at their reels. All right. 47.8 million followers. Of course, they're going to reach more than that. But let's take a look back. Okay. Ilia Topuria right here in the thumbnail of the video. 4.5 million views. Okay. Alex Pereira, 5.1 million views. This is the guy that's arguably the biggest star in the UFC. Dustin Poirier, big star. He's only got 1 million. I mean, we look back through the rankings. Here's the win. 20 million, 17, 53 million views for the finish. 3 days this has been up. Okay? 3 days. So if you want to go back in time and really look at, who is the most popular UFC fighter, Ilia Topuria, 53.7 million views on Instagram. Okay, we're going to scroll back. Don't want to make everybody dizzy, so we're going to scroll back through for a minute. Going back in time. Keep it moving. Okay. Merab Dvalishvili. Here's the finish. Merab, popular guy, has a goofy personality. We see him all over social media. There's the finish, right? There's the post. 25.8 million views. How long ago was that, you might ask? June 8th. Little bit less than a month ago. So Ilia Topuria in 3 days has 53.7 million views on Instagram. And you want to say, and again, this is towards MMA Joey. Again, no hard feelings, nothing against the guy personally, but I just disagree with that they're trying to push him. This guy is a legitimate star on the level of an Alex Pereira and probably eclipsing a Dustin Poirier and a Max Holloway, who are kind of that next step down, who all fight fans love, and the casuals go, oh, yeah, I know Max Holloway. Dude puts on bangers. Oh, yeah, I know Dustin Poirier. That guy beat Conor McGregor back in the day, right? That's what they would say to you. But guys like Ankalaev, I saw that somebody was posting Ankalaev, he's doing better numbers than Ilia Topuria, blah, blah, blah. Well, that you can only push that narrative so far because, of course, that video was posted months ago. When did Magomed Ankalaev win the title? Back in March, okay? It's been months since March. So if he has, let's say, 60 million views, space that out. It's been a few months, okay? How many days has it been? 90 plus days since March? So how is that guy even equivalent or on the level of Ilia Topuria, who in 3 days almost put up 60 million views? In the next couple of days, weeks, he may hit 60 million views on that post. So you can't even try to compare the two, and you're just doing this for clickbait headline titles, or, and again, nothing against the guy, but maybe he's just a little bit stupid, a little bit fucked up in the head. I don't fucking know. Nothing personal. I'm an idiot. I'm retarded. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Sometimes we're all a little bit stupid in life. Sometimes we make poor decisions. Sometimes we don't understand what's going on and we don't know the full context. We don't understand social media, what numbers mean, what timing is. Ilia Topuria is a bigger star than Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley and Israel Adesanya are two guys that I believe were pushed. All right. Their popularity was through the roof. So they were popular amongst the circles of fans that were watching the UFC. Okay. Sean O'Malley has a fun fight style. Israel Adesanya has a mostly flashy fight style, but he's not really finishing fights. He's not really laying guys out, at least after he won the belt. Okay. In the UFC, there was a documentary made about him. All right, cool, fine. Izzy, do what you want to do. But that was pushing a narrative. They were pushing this guy like he was the best guy, the best striker you've ever seen, the most dominant this, the most dominant that. He's going to move up, and he did nothing against Jan Blachowicz. Sean O'Malley, I mean, he had nothing for Merab in 2 fights, and this guy's supposed to be this great, overwhelming superstar. Dude's got crazy hair and plays video games. Who the hell really cares at the end of the day? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. These guys have fun fight styles. Let us enjoy them for what they are. You don't have to push their stardom. Those are 2 guys that were all over the media. They were posting their knockouts. They were posting everything about them. They were the faces of the company. But Israel Adesanya was putting on terribly boring performance after terribly boring performance since winning the belt. And I understand that, like, once you're the champion, maybe you have this mentality of, like, I'm going to keep the belt. And if you're a contender, you have to come take this off of me, and I'm going to run away from you. That's what Israel Adesanya did in my mind. Dude's a great fighter, great striker. Obviously, he proved that over many, many fights. But look at what he has become. A shell of himself. Almost nothing. And everybody ages out of the sport. Maybe Izzy's just slowing down a step. But somebody like Ilia Topuria, somebody like Islam Makhachev, somebody like Dricus du Plessis, Pantoja, Merab, these guys are trying to get better with every fight. And Ilia Topuria said something on the Joe Rogan podcast a couple of months ago. I'm not going in there to win. I'm not even going for the title. I am going in there to fight guys and to dominate them, to beat them, to finish them. That's not something that Israel Adesanya has ever said to the public, to the media, right? Not something that has ever come out of his mouth. Sean O'Malley, that fight against Merab, that was a lot of pitter-pat, picking your shots, choosing your moments, and taking it really, really slow. He did not go in there to dominate Merab. He was willing to give up rounds to deliver a knockout blow, and maybe that was his only way to victory. Maybe that's it. There's other guys that are smarter than me, than covered the sport, that know more about the technical side of striking. But if you ask me, he wasn't going in there to dominate and to assert his will on another man, which is what Ilia Topuria is trying to do every time he goes out there. The guy's trying to kill everyone that gets in the cage with him. Look at what he just did to Charles Oliveira, somebody that he likes and appreciates and looked up to on his way up through the company. I'm sorry it had to be you. And then I went out there and beat him in every facet of MMA. The guy switches his hips. Charles goes for a takedown. Topuria ends up on top, passes into side control, into a crucifix position, stands up, avoids any leg lock attempts that Charles had, right? He had nothing for him, and then just outduels him on the feet, hit him with a quick 2-3 combination. Dude was flat out on the floor. Charles maybe landed 1 elbow in the fight, and that's it. What is he going to do when he's got a Paddy Pimblett in front of him? Somebody that he doesn't like. Potentially Paddy Pimblett is next, of course. We'll see about that. We'll see what happens there. Dana White doesn't like it. Dana White, you know what? Is he the ultimate decision maker at the end of the day? Not every time. So we'll see what happens there. Justin Gaethje, of course, calling for it. Justin Gaethje, off of 1 win. You got flatlined by Max Holloway, who just moved up the division. He's ranked behind you somehow. Justin Gaethje does not deserve any kind of a title shot right now. He should be fighting Paddy Pimblett, in my opinion. Arman Tsarukyan, he beat Charles Oliveira. He did enough at the time at UFC 300 to earn himself a title shot. Of course, he missed weight or had a back injury, whatever it was back at UFC. Losing the months behind me here. But back in January, was supposed to take on Islam Makhachev in Anaheim, the home of the Armenians, right? Lots of Armenians down there in Southern California. Missed a chance. Whatever happened, it is what it is. But he pissed the UFC off because they put a bunch of marketing material, spending money. It costs money to create Photoshop documents and pictures and frames and videos and all this stuff, right? And he pissed the UFC right the fuck off. Pissed Dana White personally for some reason right the fuck off. And they had to have Renato Moicano, the legend, show me the money. That's him himself. Renato Moicano, He stepped in, took the place of Arman Sarukian. Now Arman has to really earn his shot for some reason. Anyway, it's a mess of lightweight. It's a mess. It's always a mess, guys squatting on their spots. And I hate to see Justin Gaethje. There was that rumor going around. Dricus Du Plessis was saying that, said something in an offhand comment that, I heard that Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje are going to be the co-main event of the UFC 319 card with Dricus and Hamzat headlining. That's not happening. It's been confirmed. It's not happening. Guys announce fights, fighters announce fights that they've heard of, that they hear rumors about, because they're not in it like a lot of us fans are always on Twitter looking at things. I'm checking Twitter once, twice, 3, 4 times a day, looking at, what's the next matchup? What are the matchups that have been announced? Big Marcel, shout out Big Marcel on all social medias. That guy's announcing fights like a madman. If he doesn't post it, it hasn't happened yet, okay? We're just going to put that out there. That's a baseline. That's Big Marcel. Shout out to him again. But anyway, so that was just a rumor going around. And you know what? I say, hell yeah, they should have done that. If it wasn't confirmed it'd be not happening already, I would have said, you need to do that right now. Have those guys fight on late notice. Get somebody, get a contender, get a legitimate number one contender for Ilia Topuria to fight. That could have been a Paddy. That could have been a Justin Gaethje. Well, guess what? Now we've missed out on that opportunity. And now what are we looking at? Potentially Paddy Pimblett coming off of a Michael Chandler win in 2025. Okay, whatever. It's not always a meritocracy, right? Everybody always complains. I see it all the time on Twitter, on Instagram, wherever it is. It's not right. It's not fair. When has mixed martial arts, when has boxing ever been fair? Why did Conor McGregor fight Floyd Mayweather? You might ask. Why didn't so-and-so get so many shots at the title? Why is this guy so popular? Why is Conor McGregor able to step back in there against Khabib after taking a 2-3 years off of MMA and just hop right back in there against Khabib? Because the sport is not always a meritocracy, right? What do they always say? I'm at a loss for words here, right? It's not always a fair sport, right? They pick the guys that are popular. They pick the guys that are going to drive views. They pick the guys that are going to drive pay-per-views. They pick the guys that bring eyes to the sport. That's somebody like Paddy Pimblett. And if he gets the shot, it is what it is. It's called prize fighting for a reason. So as much as I take the sport seriously and I get pissed off when I see stupid fights get made with Conor McGregor, when I see ESPN still posting about Conor McGregor in 2025, it's prize fighting, okay? It is and always has been prize fighting. It's not always a strict meritocracy. Movsar Evloev should be getting a title shot against Alexander Volkanovski, but yet he's got to fight the killer Aaron Pico. Why? Because they want to do some event with Volk and Yair in Mexico. Now that's fallen through. I don't know what's going on. Volk was on Ariel's show the other day, said he has some kind of a hand injury, recovering from a couple of injuries, so he probably won't be back in there till the very end of the year. So now, sounds like Yair versus Arnold Allen might be out there. Arnold Allen on Twitter today said a couple of things, said, you know what, who are you fighting, Arnold? I'm taking on Yair Rodriguez. Well, let's see if that comes to fruition, but Movsar Evloev, rightful number one contender. Ankalaev was the number one contender for a long time, but he was, to be fair, in this situation, in the Ankalaev situation, the guy was not willing to take fights on short notice. And you know what? That's his prerogative. That's up to him. Dricus Du Plessis beat Robert Whittaker at UFC 290 back 2 years ago, International Fight Week, right? This guy had his opportunity. He was supposed to fight Israel Adesanya in not the next pay-per-view, but the pay-per-view after that in August. That was like an 8-week jump from a fight against Robert Whittaker, a number one contender fight against Robert Whittaker. He's supposed to jump back in there against Izzy 8 weeks later with a broken toe. Should he have done it to take the opportunity? Would he have lost out on that opportunity? Potentially. So he played the smart game. He got lucky. He waited it out. He had good enough wins up to that point, had a good enough resume stacked up to that point to where he could just jump right in. Okay. You know what? More power to him. Ankalaev, same thing. Kind of went through Not a murderer's row of guys at light heavyweight. Didn't beat a Jamal Hill. Didn't beat a Yuri Prohaska. But he beat an Alexander Rakic, who's always at the top of the division, always solid, always, decent enough, always a good contender. And he waited it out and got his title shot. But if you're active, you can jump right in there a lot of the times. And so we'll have to just wait and see what happens there. Maybe Movsar will beat Aaron Pico and then jump back in there. Or maybe they're grooming Aaron Pico to be the guy. All right. They want, if he gets a win over Movsar Evloev, the number one contender, the undefeated fighter, not Ilia Topuria, Aaron Pico has to jump in there against an Alexander Volkanovski. Potentially. I think that's very likely, to be honest, if he gets a win. And if he gets an emphatic finish or something, yeah, it's going to be Pico at the end of the year versus Volk, whether you like it or not. The Bellator haters out there, the PFL haters out there, listen, I think they make some stupid decisions sometimes, but they've got a decent amount of guys on the roster that could cross over and make some headway in the UFC roster, that is. And one of those guys could be an Aaron Pico, who's younger, who's crafty, who, well-rounded, right? That's what I'm always looking for. Somebody who mixes up the martial arts. Aaron Pico can do that. He can mix up the martial arts. He can wrestle. He can strike. He can do everything very, very well. Unlike some guys like a Alex Pereira, who got beaten by a Magomed Ankalaev, who's arguably the best light heavyweight out there. He's just not that exciting. That's why he gets a lot of hate. Let's be honest here. He beat Alex Pereira in the striking because Alex was scared of those takedowns. It's just a fact of the matter. I mean, you can only go so far with certain guys, right? Jack Della Maddalena jumped in there, took the fight on short notice. It's supposed to be Shavkat versus Bilal, and then Bilal got hurt, and then that fell through, and Shavkat fought Ian Gary back in December, and then it was going to be Shavkat and Bilal again in May, and then Shavkat fell through, so Jack Della Maddalena jumped up, took the opportunity, took the chance, kind of on short notice, had a decent little camp there, but he took it on short notice. He ends up winning the belt, taking the strap off of Bilal Muhammad. Jack Della Maddalena is a dangerous guy. Bilal Muhammad, well-rounded. I think he gets a lot more hate than he deserves. But he just didn't stick to the game plan. He did not mix the martial arts up enough to beat a guy who's super technically proficient in the boxing like a Jack Della Maddalena. I mean, you look at that picture, Bilal put some hands on him. He's got his eye all busted up down there. Come on. It's always about activity in my mind. Always about activity. Why is Khalil Roundtree so beloved now? Because of what he did against Alex Pereira. Khalil Roundtree is one of the guys out there. And now, I'm not calling UFC fighters stupid. I'm not a smart guy. I'm not that intellectually sophisticated. I have a hard time struggling with my vocabulary sometimes, okay? I stopped reading after 5th grade like almost everybody else in the world. But Khalil Roundtree is a smarter, more sophisticated intellectual guy. Do I like that he cries at every press conference? No, not so much. It's a little bit too much, buddy, but it is what it is. Khalil Roundtree made the smart executive decision to go, you know what? I'm a striker. Alex is a striker. My only chance to win this fight is to rush forward and beat the brakes off this guy early. How did that pay off for him? He lost, but he gained millions of fans, hundreds of thousands of people that now want to see Khalil Roundtree, even though Khalil Roundtree is arguably a slower, more methodical, patient, boring fighter, dare I say. He's explosive. I get it. He is very explosive. He's fun to watch when he goes, but think about that Anthony Smith fight. Anthony Smith in 2023, you're taking him to the 3rd round of your fight. Dustin Jacoby fight, arguably didn't win that one. The Jamal Hill fight was pretty slow. Now, he says he has a torn meniscus. Maybe that's true. I don't know what's going on exactly with Khalil, but that was a smarter, slower, methodical, patient pace, okay? And I thought, watching it at the time, you know what? It's boring. I get it, but it's a chess match. I see what he's doing here. It's such a dominant outclassing of Jamal Hill that, you know what? Good for the guy for stepping in there. But people have now, casual fans, we'll just say the casual fans out there, I would say have wrongfully assumed that Khalil Roundtree is an all-action fighter. He's an explosive fighter. He's a real athlete that can explode into domination, that can explode into danger, much like a Yoel Romero, who kind of waits shells up, waits for his seconds, and goes, yeah, yeah, right? Whenever he needs to, he takes 30 seconds off, takes a minute off, takes 2 minutes off, and explodes into something and destroys dudes. That's a Khalil Roundtree. That's more what Khalil Roundtree is. He's a bit slower, a bit more patient, a bit more sophisticated, right? Takes a really strong mental, I don't know what would you call it? He's got a strong mental fortitude. He sticks to the game plan. That's more of Khalil Roundtree. But in his title fight, he knew that he's taking it on short notice when there's no other really guy out there. He jumped up. He took the chance. He was offered the opportunity. He said yes. That is Khalil Roundtree. He said yes, and he earned a lot of fans and a lot of respect for going in there and doing that to Alex Pereira and putting the fight on Alex Pereira, putting a pace on Alex Pereira, taking the fight to Alex Pereira on short notice. But that's not typically how Khalil fights. And that leads me to the Jamal Hill fight. Again, it was a bit boring, but if you're a fan of the sport, you can respect what Khalil Roundtree did. He put on a masterclass. Okay, he outstruck and dominated Jamal Hill. Here's Jamal Hill in response. This is his first time speaking to anybody. Posted this on his YouTube channel. We'll check it out. We'll watch it. Take a listen to what Jamal Hill has to say. I don't know what's going to happen. Is he going to make excuses? Listen, I made a video back in the day disparaging Jamal Hill. I said, you know what? This dude's a bitch. This dude's a pussy. What did he do against Alex Pereira? He went in there and said, you know what? Let's fight right here in the gym. And then he did not have the balls to back it up. He did not stand on business, as the kids say. Jamal Hill did not do that at all. Jamal Hill made himself look really pathetic in that one. But he came out after the fight and after the Yuri fight and did show some humility, showed that, you know what, I got beat by the better man. Okay. Jamal Hill, I like that he has a little bit of self-awareness outside of the cage. When it comes to the promotional side of things, I think this guy has good social awareness. I think he has good self-awareness as well. He interacts with guys very, very well. Why the fuck does he have a sticker still on his hat? I don't know. But let's listen to Jamal Hill, his reaction and thoughts to his fight versus Khalil Roundtree and his time in Baku, which, of course, there's some stuff going on over there. Israel, Iran, all that mess over there, and Azerbaijan kind of caught in the middle of it. I heard that Ray Longo was having trouble getting out of there. Jamal Hill was having trouble getting out of there. Shout out to the John and Clenny Florian podcast. Let's take a listen to what he's got to say.
I want to thank everybody for the outpour of the support and everything. You know, I've received a lot of positivity, a lot of encouraging things, and it just makes me be a little bit harder on myself for the effort that I need to put forth in my recovery, in my training, and in my discipline, and how I show up physically ready for fights.
All right, Jamal Hill, there we go. A little bit of humility there. A little bit of humble pie he ate. All right, he's now on a 3-fight losing streak to some of the best in the division, to be fair. Did Jamal Hill ever have that great of a resume? Did he get a good opportunity and fight an old Glover Teixeira to win the belt? I think so. I think this might have just been a luck of the draw for Jamal Hill. The guy, listen, he's fun. He drums up some suspense and some activity when it comes to the fight buildup, and you got to give him credit for that. But the guy's eating some humble pie. He's got 3 losses, and he really has to change things if he wants to get back to his winning ways.
What's going on, Sweet Dreams Nation? So I wanted to give my thoughts and my reactions to the trip and the fight to Baku. First of all, shout out to Baku. Amazing energy, immaculate energy, great reception. The fans there were incredible. They truly.
Now, this is another point of contention that I've been having. And who knows? Some people might come after me for this, but they've been going to Abu Dhabi, Saudi Arabia, Azerbaijan. These are places that look really great on the outset. To tourists, it's amazing. Somewhere like China, for example, they do not like people of other races in China. A lot of this propaganda, maybe it's a governmental thing. I've never been to China. I don't know. But when you look at movie posters, they tend to remove a certain demographic of people from their movie posters. Put 2 and 2 together for yourself. But all these basketball players that go over there and they play for their sports teams and whatever, there's guys like LeBron that have gone over there and played. It's always looks really, really great to tourists. Like on the outset, all these places with these weird governments, these dictatorships, they all look great on the outside. But who's paying for these events to be held here? Why are we going to Azerbaijan exactly? Why are we going to Saudi Arabia? Why are we going to Abu Dhabi? Because they have a seedy history. They have a shady past. All these countries have done things that are probably morally reprehensible. Is Azerbaijan a dictatorship? Let's look it up right now. Just because I'm curious. Various sources describe Azerbaijan's political system as authoritarian. Human Rights Foundation, how the dictators of Azerbaijan and Turkey undermine civilian life. I don't know. But Jamal Hill and everybody, it's a nice city. I'm sure and that's the thing. I'm not disparaging the people there, right? The people of Baku, the people of Azerbaijan are probably some of the best, most friendly, loving people you could ever meet because of all the turmoil that goes on around them. They are so fortunate and so loving and caring, and they just love living life, unlike a lot of people like us over in America who just take things for granted, like safety, health, because they're living in such an oppressive system. So, of course, it's going to look great on the outset because they love and they want to treat and cherish people, right? Human beings are worth something to the people of Azerbaijan, but the people in charge of the government that are putting up the money for the UFC to come there, those are the ones that are a little bit suspicious in my mind. So, of course, it's going to look great on the outset. So, of course, they all probably had a great time. And the people of Azerbaijan are probably some of the most loving, caring people in the world because of what's going on right now between a couple of countries around them. Anyway, we'll get back to the video.
Rolled out the welcome mat and honestly treated us like royalty, man. From the time that I landed, seeing all the people in the airport, to the local media, to just the reception at the hotel, and just the endearment from the fans there the entire week was incredible. Man, I don't know if I've ever been treated that well before on a fight week trip, or just on a trip in general. And it was just an amazing reception. I would like to thank the people of Baku, the city of Baku, the country of Azerbaijan, for just this amazing.
Be ready when the moment strikes.
Okay.
Rose Sparks gets you hard when you want.
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
fast-acting, long-lasting solution and a convenient.
Amazing experience. Best fruit I've ever had. All right, this is the best fruit they grow, the best fruit that I've ever had. I'm not gonna say in the world because I haven't been everywhere in the world, but I mean, I'm gonna put them up there. I gotta put them up there. I also hear that they even import their fruit and everything from Dubai and to Russia and all of those things. So they get in, they in business. They in business there. Just a great experience.
Again, the people are going to go out of their way to show love and care, not because they're trying to do something suspicious, but it's the government. It's the governments of these places, Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi, who are trying to cover for something. They're trying to, what do they call it in WWE? Kayfabe. Like, they're trying to put on this mask to show that, you know what, we're better than we used to be. We're better than we used to be. Saudi Arabia, look, this is a loving, great tourist attraction. How'd you guys make all this money? What are the blood money, the oil money? Where's this coming from? Do you guys still have slaves? How do you treat women in your countries? Azerbaijan, of course, the people are amazing. Of course, the people are amazing. It's just when they go to these weird places, and again, there's guys like Sadikov, Mosayev. These guys are from Azerbaijan. Rafael Faziv. It's the fucking governments. It's the countries, right? It's the people in charge that are the problem, that are suspicious. Why are we getting into business with these people, you might ask? I don't know. I wish we could take the people from Azerbaijan and bring them over here to America, because American fight fans fucking stink. For the most part. They just want blood and action. The moment the fight goes to the ground, it sucks. It's terrible. We all boo. It's not how it should be, but it is what it is. Anyway, good for Jamal Hill. Sounds like the fruit is fucking amazing in Azerbaijan.
Moving on to the fight. First of all, I want to start it off by saying congratulations to Khalil Roundtree, getting the victory, entering the top 5. And he's been hungry, man. He's been hungry. He's been working his ass off. He wanted to knock on the door for another title shot. And now he's going to be able to do that with this victory. He had a game plan. He had a game plan to attack my legs. He stuck to his game plan, didn't move outside of the game plan. The fight was a little more boring than I would have liked. You know, I expected a little bit more of an engage and him to actually come after me and listen. We were going to get after it and put more of a fight, of a show, of a performance together. But it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah. He played the long game. He was the smart fighter. If he really had a torn meniscus, he probably should have done what he should have done. All right. He did what he did. All right. Khalil Roundtree played the smart game. Jamal Hill wanted to come forward and crash and slang and bang. And guess what? Khalil Roundtree didn't want to play your fucking game, dude. And I'm glad that he's at least acknowledging this, that he's saying this publicly. He's got his YouTube channel running. He's getting good views. I mean, how many views this video has? I mean, shout out Jamal Hill. He's got a great YouTube channel, 10,000 views already. Good for him. I like it. That's what we need to see from our guys. Okay? Be out there. Be public. Be open and honest, okay? You don't have to, be crying up at the post-fight press conferences and everything, but you need to admit defeat when you can, because how do you get better? Ilia Topuria just said it the other day. He is terrified when he gets in the octagon, but the training and the preparation helps him to feel otherwise. Doesn't that make sense? Doesn't that make you go like, yeah, if I'm going into a dangerous situation, bravery is not just being strong, but standing up despite the fear that you have inside yourself, right? You might be afraid, but doing the right thing, standing up, doing the right thing. And Jamal Hill, his legs got chewed up. I mean, what else were you expecting? It's Khalil Roundtree. That's one of his best dangerous, devastating weapons as his calf strikes, right? The calf kicks. Deadly from Khalil Roundtree. Now, a lot of guys are doing it. It's been popular. Joe Rogan, right? Always clamoring for those calf kicks. Khalil Roundtree is one of the best at calf kicking in the game. He throws everything into him. And I'm glad that Jamal Hill can at least see that that's what happened in this fight.
This is on me to go in and make fighters fight the fight that I want them to fight. And that didn't happen in this one. I want to get into the reading of the scorecard and my reaction to that, because I seen that video went around a lot, and there was a lot to be said about that. So to me,
again, the dude is self-aware. And you know what? Us as fight fans need to at least appreciate that. Again, I was the one that made the video that was like, oh, this dude's a bitch, this dude's a pussy, whatever. He's fake. He has some self-awareness when it comes to all the stuff outside the cage. It's the inside the cage performance that he seems to struggle with getting through his head. He sees the social media, sees stuff going around. There was the video of him like going, what the hell? When it was a 50-45, dude, you lost every round. It wasn't even close. You got beat up from beginning to end. All right. Like, it just is what it is, Jamal. And I'm sorry to say it, buddy, but like, you didn't do anything to Khalil Roundtree, who's got a torn meniscus. Like, that's a bad look. Inside the cage, you can't seem to put together what's going wrong. Outside the cage, he sees the Twitter posts, he sees people interacting online, and he sees that there's some kind of issues out there in the internet. He gets that. That clicks with him, but it's the inside the cage, the fighter, the ego of Jamal Hill, the fighter Jamal Hill, the person Jamal Hill has humility. The fighter Jamal Hill seems to lack any kind of self-awareness.
In the moment, I thought that I had won the first round and the fifth round. I've watched the fight back. I still feel as though I won the first and the fifth round.
Okay.
And I just think that it was a pretty boring fight just to score that one-sided was a little crazy.
Do we have to pull up the stats for the fight? Coach, should we pull up the stats for the Khalil Roundtree Jamal Hill fight? And again, I like Jamal. I like that he drums up all this crazy shit when it comes to these fights, and he's always like trying to be antagonistic and build the fight up and get attention on the fight. But do we have to go pull up the stats here? The strikes are relatively even according to ESPN, but I don't know, buddy. I see a lot of red. I mean, again, let's say you're a casual fan who doesn't watch sport. You didn't watch the fight. I see a lot of red here. Khalil Roundtree, 30 out of 36 calf strikes, went to the body. Jamal Hill was headhunting. No ifs and buts about it, right? That's all he was doing. He's walking forward, plodding forward, trying to knock Khalil Roundtree out with 1 or 2 strikes, hardly throwing in combination at all. Khalil Roundtree was picking his shots and moving away. 102 to 70 strikes on paper. But I mean, the guy did all the damage in the world on Jamal Hill. He came away with this with cuts over both thighs, massive swelling on his calf. Come on. Who did more damage, Jamal? What did you do that was damaging to Khalil? You hit him and he tripped and fell on his toes one time, right? Skipped across the octagon because he took a misstep, That's more damaging than cutting you open on 2 occasions and destroying your calf? I don't know, man. It's not scored as a whole. If the fight was scored as a whole, Khalil Roundtree would have dominated. He would have won 10-3. You're lucky that one of the judges gave you 1 round. Go back and watch the fight. Khalil Roundtree picks him apart, stays on his bike, and takes little to no damage. The punches that Jamal Hill landed were coming off the gloves, were coming off the top of the head. They were landing on the elbows, the guard of Khalil Roundtree. Not a lot landed for Jamal Hill, and that's just a fact of the matter.
I know people want to see me lose as bad as possible, but if you could think that was on par with the type of dominations that we've seen for 5 rounds, like an example I'll use from my own experience, the Glover fight. If that was a 5-round domination, then the Glover fight should have been 40-50. I feel as though, I feel that in order for you to be dominantly and convincingly given every round like that, you should have to put more. There should be more work. There should be more work put in. But ultimately,
I don't know what he's saying by more work. And again, Jamal Hill's a fighter. He's gotten in there. He's fought many guys, way more guys than I've fought. Okay, let's be honest here. Way more people than anybody in this audience has fought. However, if I land 1 strike and it knocks you down to the ground and you're cut open and you land 20 jabs that don't even phase me while I'm walking forward, who wins that round? It doesn't matter how many strikes you put on a person. It's damage. If it's pitter-pat Chase Hooper versus Ilia Topuria, and Chase Hooper lands 30 strikes, and Ilia Topuria lands 1 right hook and doesn't knock him out, which of those punches likely did more damage? Probably Ilia Topuria's powerful right hook, the dude with stones in his hands. Not pitter-pat Chase Hooper, name your guy, right? It doesn't matter how much work you did. It's about how much damage you did. Damage, dominance, duration, right? That's the rule book. Go read the rules. I want Jamal Hill to come away with this as a better fighter. But if you can't understand how the rules work and that you need to put damage on guys, if you wanted to have a war, you should have crashed forward and gone after the guy and mixed it up. Look at a guy who just fought, right? Was it Andreas Gustafsson? Shit. What was that fight? Just a couple of weeks ago. Let's pull it up. So past events, man, was it Blanchfield Barber? No. Buckley Usman, maybe. Anyway, we'll find it in a second. Paul Gregg, no. Wellmaker, no. Phil Rowe, no. Damn. There was a fight. One of the European guys, one of the guys with the Nordic tattoos. The dude just crashed forward and put everything together. Was it the Hill Roundtree fight? Nah. Damn. Further back than that? I'm losing my mind here. Yep. UFC 316. Andreas Gustafsson versus Chaos Williams, okay? Chaos Williams, dangerous power puncher, but Andreas Gustafsson just ran through this dude, just walked straight through the guy. Put a pace, put a pressure on this guy the likes he had not seen before in the grappling, in the striking, both combined. All levels of the game. Was throwing kicks, strikes, elbows, spinning shit, taking him down, wrestling, grabbing the legs, pretending to take him down, faking shots, feinting, everything. This guy was doing everything to just mix it up against Chaos Williams. And that won him the fight. If Jamal Hill really wanted to go out there and have a war and put a pace on Khalil Roundtree and make him fight him the way he claims to have wanted to fight him and just stand and bang and stand and brawl like he did with Yuri Prochazka, Yuri Prochazka is going to fight the same way every time. He's going to war. Khalil Roundtree is a smarter fighter than that, Jamal. Unfortunately for Jamal Hill, he did not just stand there and throw hands with you. It is what it is, man. Just like you said. But you can't expect that to be the norm. You can't expect that everybody wants to go in there and to have a war. Some guys go in there and they want to have exciting fights. Yuri Prochazka prides himself on being a warrior and standing in the pocket and having wars, right? That's just how some guys are. Ilia Topuria wants to go in there and not just win, not just get the belt, but dominate. Dominate, guys. It's a different level, bro. If that's what you want to go in there and be known as, then go in there and start doing it, and you'll garner all the fans' love and support if you're one of those guys who just goes to war. Just an absolute gladiator. Somebody like, a Michael Chandler, a Justin Gaethje. These guys just do not have boring fights. If that's how you want to do it, go ahead. But I guarantee you, you will not hold that belt again. The likes of Charles Oliveira is an outlier, right? The marauder of the 2022-2023 Charles Oliveira, the fight streak that he went on, defeating the likes of Michael Chandler, Justin Gaethje, Poirier. You're not going to see that again, Jamal. Like, that's not going to be you, bro. That is so, and that's not to disparage Jamal. That's just not going to happen. You don't fight like that and win championship fights. Okay, it's just not something that usually happens. Somebody like a Dricus du Plessis, though, is bucking that trend. The dude goes in there, slings it with everybody, and somehow comes out on top. Do not understand it, but it is what it is. Jamal Hill, you can't fight like that at light heavyweight. These dudes have knockout power. Like, most of them have knockout power and explosivity. Okay? It's a weak division. You might be able to get back to a title shot. He might be able to do it. But if you want to fight like that, be my guest. You're going to garner fans, but you're not going to be at the top of the division for very much longer. Look at a Johnny Walker. Dude fell off hard. That guy was supposed to be the next John Jones. That guy was supposed to beat John Jones. And look at where he is now. Super chinny and nowhere near the top of the light heavyweight division. Carlos Ulberg, Magomed Ankalaev, Rakic, Khalil Roundtree now, you could say. The guys are kind of boring. Kind of boring. If that's how you want to play it, be my guest. Be my guest. If you want to be a warrior who goes out on his shield and throws hands with everybody, go ahead, Jamal. You'll earn all the fans' respect, but you will never be the best guy in the world because those best guys in the world will be smarter and will pick you apart. Now, is that entertaining? Are they going to garner a lot of fan attention and a lot of fan praise and love? Probably not. Magomed Ankalaev likely will never go down as a fan favorite, but he could go down as one of the better light heavyweights to ever do it. You never know. It's potential. There's potential for it. You got to be honest. You got to see. You got to see what's going on. Let's see. Who is the number one pound for pound size rankings? What do you mean by that, dog? Mr. Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor's in the chat. Conor McGregor's in the chat. Who's the number one pound for pound PP size, bro? Let's think about this, brother. Who do you think? Who do you think it is? Who do you think it is? I want to hear it. I'll give you my answer. Really sidetracking me, motherfucker. Type it in the chat. Hey, Conor McGregor, pay-per-view star, biggest star in the UFC. Give me your answer, bro. Or did you just type that dip? I'm gonna wait. We all know Chase Hooper as the biggest. You know what? Anyway, back to Jamal Hill. Let's take a listen. Pay him his due respect.
Leave it in the judge's hands as you come out, you implement yourself, and you're willing to fight, and you don't have to worry about things like that. And it's not what I did. I know there was a lot made and said of the things that before the fight, me saying the comments of Khalil's not on my level, said the same my last few fights. But to be honest, I haven't been on my level. I haven't been on my level now for quite some time. I think that people severely underestimate the injuries that I've dealt with and the things and the challenges that I've had to overcome with that. An Achilles tear to an athlete is a career ender. Is a career ender in a lot of cases to many people. And then you compile that with the injuries that I've also dealt with, the tears to the knees from trying to come back and force my way back. In the timing that I did against I've gone against a lot of advice, that I was getting.
And you know what? He has garnered attention. He has garnered some fan support. I know there are fans out there of Jamal Hill. It's just the way that he talks. It rubs people the wrong way. But the guy has come in and saved UFC 300. I mean, you got to give him credit for that. And again, as much as I get annoyed with some of the shit that Jamal Hill has done, and as much as I disparaged the guy back when he did that whole mess with Alex Pereira at the UFC PI, the dude stepped in and saved that card. The dude stepped in and fought Yuri when he could have taken a step back. He could have taken an opponent down further in the rankings, but he fought Yuri Prohaska, one of the killers of the division, one of the most exciting fighters in the division. Jamal Hill did that. He took the fight with Glover Teixeira on like 3 or 4 weeks notice. Okay, championship fight, took the fight on short notice. He's criminally underrated and overhated. He reminds me a lot of a Bilal Muhammad, criminally underrated for a long time, has got great wins on his resume before even getting to the belt, had to go on a 10-fight win streak. That's not what Jamal Hill had to do. He took the opportunity that was allowed for him, that was there for him to take. He said yes when he needed to. Okay? It matters. Okay, we have to give him credit for that. But it's also hard for me to listen to you make excuses for injuries. It's injuries. Okay. They have maybe severely damaged his ability to come forward potentially. The Achilles, the knees, maybe that's still playing a factor. It's just hard to hear guys make excuses with injuries. You lost the fight. You could have bull rushed the guy. You could have just steamrolled Khalil Roundtree. That's possible. It's possible. But you didn't. Why didn't you? Was it something wrong with the knee? Maybe so. Shit happens. All right? Stuff happens. Freak injuries happen. Okay? Not everything is a Fabricio Verdum arm broke, bent backwards. You know, that dude was snapping limbs and taking names, right? Nogueira, right? Dude was laying there with a broken arm. Not everything has to be a tap, nap, or snap. Sometimes injuries just happen, right? They're in fights. They're doing damage to each other's bodies, bro. They're trying to hurt each other. They're trying to put each other and separate each other from consciousness, to rip arms off. That's the fight game. Injuries happen. So to make an excuse for an injury that happened in the fight is a little bit different. Unless you came into the fight with the injury, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Given by my team and people close to me, and in taking my time, building back on my injuries and those things, and I feel that's something that I'm not gonna be able to escape and sort of say. So before injuries or anything, I was a natural. I'm a natural talent. You know, that's just things just came. When I say that, to say things came naturally to me at a certain level. So before,
listen, you can tell this guy's fundamentals aren't quite there. His footwork isn't quite as clean and crisp as we want it to be. The dude walks forward foot over foot and does not really do a hop step stance kind of thing that you're used to seeing. If you're a casual fan, you don't understand fighting, you don't just walk foot over foot and cross your legs all the time like that. It's going to lead to you getting put off balance, not being able to throw as much power into your shots. That's just the basics on the outset, right? Jamal Hill walks forward, plods forward. He's getting by on having natural power in his hands, right? He's a good athlete, former sports player, right? That's Jamal Hill. He's getting away with the talent. And the skills, the technical side of things aren't quite caught up to where he is as an athlete and as a powerful puncher, right? But he's got decent striking. He's got decent ground game. He trains in jiu-jitsu. I know he trains the martial arts, but like, how well are you equipped to get in there and fight guys when something goes wrong? What's your plan B, Jamal? What's your plan B? Go into a takedown? Because that didn't really work out in the Khalil Roundtree fight. You said you hurt your knee. We've seen guys go through wrestling tournaments with all kinds of torn up knees. You didn't do that because you don't have a plan B. You don't have a B. You don't have a game plan that you can switch to. Like, hey, I'm getting outstruck here. I'm getting outpointed. I'm getting beat up on the feet. What can I go to? What's my plan B? You got nothing. You need to have a plan B. You need to have some kind of something to fall back on so that when shit goes wrong, when the game plan goes out the window and things aren't quite going the right way, when the opponent is doing things that you didn't expect, you have to have something that can pick up for that lack of experience, the lack of technical ability. You can't just be all talent and all power. You got to go. You got to have a plan B, bro. And he just doesn't seem to have that. There's other fighters like that just don't have a plan B. Look at Sean Strickland. Look at what he did to Israel Adesanya. Outstruck the best striker in the UFC with basic boxing and teep kicks. But he's fighting Dricus du Plessis. He's getting beat up by Dricus du Plessis. What's your plan B when shit goes out the window? When shit hits the fan, Sean, what's your plan B? He doesn't have one. Jamal Hill, when shit hits the fan, when your legs chewed up, start wrestling. He can't. He doesn't have a plan B. You might train this stuff in the gym, but he doesn't have a plan B. Israel Adesanya, when shit went wrong, where's your plan B, bro? There's nothing against these guys, right? Nothing personal. I'm not calling them stupid. There's no plan B. There's nothing else dangerous. Alex Pereira, look at what he did. Alex Pereira, one of the best fighters out there right now, one of the best light heavyweights already of all time, right? You can say that with fair confidence, okay? Magomed Ankalaev, boring fighter. You want to call him a boring fighter? That's fair. That's a fair assessment. But the guy's a good, well-rounded martial artist, and Alex Pereira was scared of the takedown. When shit hit the fan and you were getting outstruck, you didn't have some kind of spinning attacks or crazy kicks or anything against Magomed Ankalaev. You were shut down. You didn't have a plan B. Your plan against Magomed Ankalaev was to strike and knock him out. That didn't work out. Jamal Hill, your plan was to strike and knock out Khalil Roundtree. You didn't have a plan B. Izzy against Sean Strickland didn't have a plan B. Sean Strickland against Dricus du Plessis didn't have a plan B. These are all just recent examples. This has been going on for years and years and years. Guys don't have a plan B, right? I think of a guy like Chuck Liddell, right? Rashad Evans. He wasn't a better striker per se. He wasn't more powerful than a Chuck Liddell, right? I mean, this was way back in the day. But Rashad Evans threatened the takedown. That was his game, and he developed his striking behind it, right? He became a dual threat, right? That's mixed martial arts. You mix the martial arts. Alex Volkanovski is dangerous because he mixes the martial arts, right? Think about the finish over Yair Rodriguez. He's coming over, swinging with punches to the head, going to the body, elbows, knees up the middle, shoots for a takedown, dumps him on his head. That's mixed martial arts. You're mixing everything you can into the fight, and it makes it super dangerous. Ilia Topuria, look at what he did against Charles Oliveira just the other day. He did not just go in there and knock out Charles Oliveira. The reason people are saying that Ilia Topuria is the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter and he could potentially beat an Islam Makhachev is because of what he did to a Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira is one of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners in the UFC ever. One of the better guys. Ilia Topuria. Charles Oliveira attempted a takedown on Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria switched his hips midair and landed on top. Passed from side control into crucifix with a completely conscious Charles Oliveira. He showed multiple facets of the game. Alex Volkanovski shows multiple facets of the game. Guys like Dricus du Plessis show multiple facets of the game. They can be dangerous everywhere. Hamzat Chimaev. He might run over DDP with such an overwhelming grappling game. It's possible. You can't rule that out. Alex Pereira dominated guys with just striking, right? But guys that go on to be really great fighters, for the most part, and I'll share this image again, Pantoja. Multiple threats. He's dangerous everywhere. Merab has good striking, good takedowns, right? Takes down everybody all the time because of his cardio. He's got multiple weapons that he can mix up. Volk, great everywhere. Ilia Topuria, clearly dangerous everywhere. But he's got power in his hands and he puts guys out. Tom Aspinall, same thing. Submitted Andrei Arlovski. Dude's 40-something years old. He's been trained in jiu-jitsu for a long time, and Tom Aspinall just steamrolled him. Steamrolled Arlovski in the second round. He just literally ran forward and took his neck and choked him out. Tom Aspinall ends his fights usually by knockout, but the guy has dangerous aspects in every part of his game. Dricus du Plessis, same thing. Jack Della Maddalena, when he had to get when shit hit the fan and he was losing to Gilbert Burns with a broken arm in the third round, this guy comes back, submits Gilbert Burns, throws a knee up the middle, hurts Gilbert Burns. That's mixing the martial arts, right? Knee up the middle. You want to call that Muay Thai? Go ahead. So he's using his Muay Thai, and then he's using his wrestling, then he's using his jiu-jitsu to get the submission over Gilbert Burns in the third round in the last minute of the fight. Dricus du Plessis hurts Izzy on the feet, falls into a takedown, grabs his ankle, throws him on the ground, and then submits him. Ankalaev, threat of the takedown. Mostly not a takedown threat. He's shown that he can take guys down. He threatens about 1 takedown attempt per 15 minutes. He's a dual threat. We know that he can do both things. All these guys on your screen here can do everything, can mix it up. Right? They're not one-dimensional fighters. There's guys out there that are one-dimensional fighters that don't have a game plan, that don't have a plan B when their game plan goes awry. When they can't get their game plan going, they don't have anything to switch back into and to go after.
I could hang around outside of camp, you know what I mean, eat, do things the way that I wanted to do them, and just whenever I was in camp, I was just able to work at a level that I feel put me in a very, very good position to go out and put on the performances that I put on earlier on in my career, earlier on in my run to the title.
What would you do with an army of youths?
Yes.
About a month ago, I didn't realize it at the time, but I was drowning. Client calls, follow-up, content creation.
I'm kind of fumbling my words with this right now, but it could bring.
Okay. I like that this 10-minute and 54-second video is one take. Okay. I think that counts for something. I think that's showing maybe Jamal Hill didn't edit this. Maybe he didn't have some editor come in and do this for him, but I really appreciate that for 10 minutes and 54 seconds, the guy is just speaking completely off the cuff. Is he fumbling his words? Yeah, I do it too. All right. You know what? Everybody does it. Anybody that talks for a long period of time fumbles their words, loses their way, loses track of things, starts thinking about different things. I do appreciate that he is talking candidly to the fans for 11 minutes straight without cutting the camera, fancy edits, who this and who that and this and that and this and that, and I've got this, and I can't even speak a complete sentence to the camera. I cannot say this sentence without editing it. You know what I'm talking about. the Instagram, the TikToks, the Vines, all that vertical format stuff, it's all snappy, snappy, snappy. We need to get things to capture everybody's attention at every second. Jamal Hill is putting out a true video here, a real heart-to-heart with the fans, and I appreciate that.
Brings me back to a quote that I heard a long time ago, and a quote that my coaches have said to me: "Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard." My work and my output has to go up. It has to. I have to do more. I have to work harder. I have to grind harder. I've entered my last 3 camps at the lowest was maybe 260 pounds. This last camp, when I started, I was about maybe 265 pounds. That goes into that work. I cannot spend camps trying to make weight whenever I have to focus on improvement, as well as strengthening in places that I'm weak with injury and things like that. So in that regard, I have to apologize to the people that have supported me, and have to be better. I have to be better there. With
shout out to Jamal Hill. I mean, like, the dude's showing some self-awareness here. Like I said, as a person, you can't come into these fights weighing 260 pounds and then in a month or two you need to cut down to 205. We've been making fun of this guy for his physique, for having the dad bod. Finally, maybe he's come to that, to understand what's going on, why we're making fun of this guy. Good. Get your shit together. Be a real athlete. These guys ask for so much money, and fighter pay is such a hot topic and such a weird conversation to have. They need to be professional. Like, most of these guys are very unprofessional. Why are you so out of shape out of camp? Why are you not training hard? What does that tell me? That you're getting by on talent alone. You're not listening to the quotes that you have stuck in your brain. I'm glad that he's coming to this now. Better late than never, you might say. You need to understand that you need to be professional. You are technically a professional athlete. Some fans may beg to differ, but if you want to get paid millions of dollars, you got to earn it, bro. I'm not doing this because I'm making millions of dollars. I ain't making shit off of this. This is just for fun. If you want to fight for fun and fight on the regional scene and have a couple of amateur fights, be my guest and train and stay disciplined. That's one thing. But if you want to be a professional athlete and the best you can be, you can't be getting that out of shape out of camp, bro. I think he knows that now.
With how I take care of my body, how I work to improve and stay sharp with my body and with my skills. So I will be on that. For now, I'm gonna take the time that I need to make sure that I can get my injuries, focus on my injuries, give them the time that they need to get them back to strength and back to feeling like me again. You know, I haven't felt like myself in quite some time now. Haven't been able to do the things I like. I haven't run since the injury. Just a feeling of maybe I can't, things like that. You know, just the strength not being there to my level.
Is that why you couldn't get things going? Because you didn't have the cardio to push it? Maybe, potentially. I don't know. It's not, you might say there's a lot of excuses going on in this video. Now, you guys tell me, do you think these are excuses? Is this fair? Or is this just like him coping, making up stuff? I don't know. I think he's being genuine. Again, like I said, he's talking for 10 minutes straight on camera. Like that, it takes a little bit of effort to get up and talk for 10 minutes straight and rattle off your thoughts and just lay everything out there. That takes something. But you're telling me you haven't done cardio in months? Swimming, good cardio, right? Swimming is a great form of cardio.
Legs, and that's something that has to change. I have to change the amount of work that I'm willing to do, and the amount of push that I give in my preparation. I'm fighting the best in the world now, and I'm at a championship level, and I must live like a champion. And that is one thing that I will dedicate myself to improving, to living like a champion, to ultimately get back to where I know that I belong.
The secret to our deodorant is
Fuck off,
we
Ad.
got
God
a
damn it.
crazy message from a customer named Mina. Here it is. Hi, I'm a
Listen, again, was he lucky? You might say that. You might say he's lucky that Jan versus Ankalaev went to a draw, right? And him and Glover were called up and given the opportunity. You might call him lucky that he got to fight a 42-year-old Glover Teixeira that wasn't quite ready to get in there with a guy like Jamal Hill, who's a good athlete, strong, powerful puncher, fast, natural talent, like he said. Maybe he isn't championship caliber anymore. Maybe he just isn't. But he's a ranked light heavyweight. He's in decent shape. He shows up to these fights. He stays active. But come on, brother, you have to commit to this. You're a professional athlete. Put the time in. We like to hate you. The fans like to hate Jamal Hill. You love to hate him, right? It's fun to disparage Jamal Hill, but the guy needs to get his fucking shit together. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps and get shit done, man. That's what you need to do.
And yeah, man, it's a tough pill. It's a tough pill to swallow, you know, especially like I said, a lot of this stuff came naturally to me. It just came naturally to me to exist at a certain level that would just, man, it was a crazy feeling. Y'all, you saw my record and what I was able to do before speaks for itself. I will get back to that. That's my only focus. That's my only concern. That's the only thing on the forefront of my mind is just working, getting back healthy, getting to 100%, and coming and giving you guys the performances that you deserve out of me and that you should have from me. I want to thank everybody.
Dude, we expect better from professional athletes. He did what he had to do in the Alex Pereira fight. He made excuses afterwards. The Yuri fight, didn't make excuses, got right back in there like he should have after taking a damaging knockout loss like that. Get right back in there like we talked about earlier. Activity, activity, activity. These guys have become huge stars because of their activity. They're putting themselves in positions to be successful because they're taking opportunities on short notice. Jamal Hill saved UFC 300, got a lot of attention, gets a lot of views, probably has a lot of fans because of how he saved a card, saved UFC 300. He got knocked out in the process, but that is what it is, bro. That's part of the fight game. It is how the game goes. It's how you play the game. You do your best, try your best, take fights on short notice when you can, when it's safe, when you're not injured, go for it. Even when it's a nagging injury, when it's something small, sometimes you got to take those chances, bro.
Everybody for the outpour of the support and everything. You know, I've received a lot of positivity, a lot of encouraging things, and it just makes me be a little bit harder on myself for the effort that I need to put forth in my recovery, in my training, and in my discipline, in how I show up physically ready for fights. So I will change that. I will be better. I'm going to take time out because I will take a little bit of time to get back to where I know I can be and get back to that exciting fighter and that dominant champion that I know that I am. Yeah, man, I don't want to keep talking in circles on it. So appreciate y'all. Sweet Dreams Nation. Nothing but love. Congratulations to Khalil Roundtree. Congratulations to Yuri, Polton, and all those guys. But I'm coming back. I'm coming back from my get back. 100%. Sweet Dreams.
All right. Anyway, shout out Jamal Hill. Go check out the channel, subscribe, whatever, do your thing. What do you guys think about this? My question is he coping? Are these valid excuses? Do you like what he said? I kind of like that he came out and just did a one-take 10-minute video. I appreciate that. I think that that's being honest and open with the fans. That's going to get him a long way in my book, because you didn't come out here and you make some fancy edit and make all this mess and excuses. Like, I'm curious though, what do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments. Is he coping? Or are these valid excuses? Are these valid reasons why he may or may not have lost the Khalil Roundtree fight? Jamal Hill. Will he ever become a light heavyweight contender again? Will he ever challenge for the belt? Will he ever win the belt again? That is the question heading into this one. I don't know. Time will tell. How long, how much time can he take off? Will he take off? I mean, Jamal Hill, he's got a style that typically should allow him to get back in there. I mean, if he takes out a couple of guys in the rankings that are lower than him, I mean, somebody like a Johnny Walker, you know, he's already beat him, right? Johnny Walker's a freak athlete, crazy fighter, and Jamal Hill got through that guy, so he's got a more sophisticated game, you might say, than a Johnny Walker. But I mean, who does Jamal Hill beat? I don't think he beats an Ankalaev. I don't think he beats a Pereira. I don't think he beats a Prohaska. I don't think he beats Olberg. He clearly doesn't beat Roundtree. Roundtree had a torn meniscus and he couldn't beat him. I don't think he beats Blachowicz either. Rakic probably beats him up. Reyes would be my question. Reyes is the first guy on the rankings that I would say maybe Jamal Hill could beat a Dominic Reyes. But Dominic Reyes on a generational run, pushing for the title after coming off of some hellacious losses. Love to see these guys come back and make comebacks in their careers. Maybe Jamal Hill can do the same thing. He's coming off 3 losses. Maybe the guy can turn his career around and really commit to the game, you know? Commit to the fucking game, bro. God. Act like a professional athlete, and I will agree that you need to be paid like a professional athlete. Until then, I don't really mind that these guys don't make as much as NBA and NFL players, 70, 50, 60 million dollars a year. That's absurd. Come on. That just makes things unreachable. These guys are fighters. Steve Kim said this. Somebody else told him this. There's a quote out there, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically, guys that compete in combat sports are starving, right? And when you give them millions and millions of dollars, they have now broken through. They survived. They came out of the trenches. They are no longer hungry anymore. Okay? The reason these guys are not paid millions and millions and millions are because if they were, we would not be getting the fights that we have today. It just wouldn't happen. A lot of these fighters wouldn't be fighting if they were getting paid $5-10 million to fight once or twice a year. It's frustrating because you want to see these guys get paid. These are guys that we watch on a weekly basis, week to week. Multiple times a month, we turn on the UFC, we turn on PFL, we turn on whatever promotion we want to turn on. We want to see these guys compensated and compensated well. But if you give them too much money, unfortunately, most of these guys won't fight hard. They won't push themselves. They won't kill themselves to cut weight. Once you have money, once you have fame, once you have success, you're sleeping in those silk pajamas, right? And things just aren't as difficult as they once were. Fighting through adversity means something. Volkanovski had to come back off of those 2 rough losses and get himself back into title contention, even though he's 35 years old. Pantoja took a couple of harsh losses early in his UFC run, came back and went on a generational run, and he may just be coming for this dude's GOAT status at flyweight. It's frustrating. You want him to get paid. I want to see these guys get paid. I think you could probably double their pay, and they would still put on great fights. But you need the hunger to get out there in an octagon, to get out in a boxing ring, to go out in an arena and throw down with another dude and try to put damage on somebody. Not everybody does this for the love of the game. Some guys are just really fucking good at it. And these champions, And I'll leave it with this. These champions before you, there's one guy that doesn't quite fit in terms of excitement, but they all are very technically proficient fighters that are dangerous, that are exciting, that are fun to watch, that go for finishes, right? They're trying to dominate their opponents. They're not just trying to win. They're not just trying to retain a belt. They're not just trying to run around and stay safe and avoid damage. These guys are going in there to dominate, to cement themselves as some of the greatest fighters of all time.